Okay, guys, bear with me. This might be the most boring video I've ever watched in my entire life. But is every DDR RAM explained in 8 minutes? I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it. I don't care. It's going to be awful. I'm going to watch it.
DDR1 came out in 2000, and it was created because computers became heavier to run. So before DDR RAM existed, computers still used something called SD RAM. This SD RAM
Oh, I've heard of that. I've heard of that. I didn't know what the fuck it was. So this is like outdated, obsolete shit.
was too slow since it could only send one data at a time, which makes
Oh my god, really? Oh my god, we would never have advanced as a society if this never happened. Holy shit.
computers stutter and have longer loading times when we're trying to open something. That is why DDR RAM was created, which allows sending twice as much data compared to the previous SD RAM. So as a result,
I literally just talked about this in the other video too. The fact that people, and I'm yapping. Fuck off if you want to watch the video yourself. I don't care. It's going to be longer than 8 minutes. It's going to be longer than 8 minutes. Anyway, it's crazy how humans at some point just figure shit out. Like at that point when DDR1 came out, people were probably like, oh my god, like this shit's so fucking fast. You know? And then now we're on 4 and 5. I think we're on 5. No? Am I tripping?
computers became more responsive. In terms of speed, it runs up to 400 megahertz with a capacity up to 1 gigabyte, which was enough for browsing the internet, doing office work, and playing light games such as Doom. However, DDR1 also came with a problem. It's using 2.5 volts of electricity, which is a lot for RAM. And since it consumes a lot of electricity, it produces more heat as well. So when RAM becomes too hot, your computer might crash or freeze. And what makes
Oh, bro, is that why they have 2 sticks of RAM every time? Like if you want 16 gigs, you get 2 8s and you put them in? Bro, I didn't know. I was thinking like you could just get it. Well, either way, like if you get a 32, just having one 32, it's better to have 2 16s, two 16 cards.
makes it worse is that DDR1 existed in the era of Windows Millennium Edition, which is the worst and the most unstable Windows version ever. So not only did computers keep crashing because of the overheating RAM, programs in the Windows Millennium Edition often experienced errors as well. DDR2. DDR2 came out in 2004 as an upgrade.
Dude, I've never even like seen DDR2. I see 3. Like when you look on like Amazon and shit, if you look in cheap as fuck stuff, you'll see DDR3. It's still around, but DDR2, like I don't think you can get that anymore.
Upgrade from DDR1. It ran at higher speeds, around 400 megahertz with the basic variant to 800 megahertz with the higher end version, and supported 2 gigabytes to 4 gigabytes of memory per
Bro, who figured this shit out though? Who knows how to do that shit? Like what? It's just a stick, bro. Like how do you know what all these things fucking do? That's crazy, man. That's not a human. That's a fucking robot.
RAM stick. With this amount of RAM, computers can now open more programs at the same time. But it wasn't only the speed that changed. Every RAM generation also comes with a different notch position. And in the case of DDR2, the notch was moved to the middle to clearly differentiate it from DDR1. More importantly,
dude, that's that you barely changed anything, but it wouldn't fit in the same computer anymore.
DDR2 also used a lower voltage of just 1.8 volts. This means it consumed less power and produced less heat compared to DDR1.
When you get double the production from it, holy shit, I can't wait to see 4 and 5.
But even though DDR2 was faster, it was very expensive back then. So in terms of price to performance, DDR2 just wasn't that great compared to DDR1. And even if someone really upgraded their RAM, they also had to buy a new motherboard that's compatible with the RAM generation they're using.
Yeah, that's the part that's so annoying about it. I mean, like as stuff changes, the same as like iPhones and shit when they took away the charger or changed the charger. Like I hate when they do that shit. But I guess it's for a good reason. You probably can't you can't get good RAM if you're not changing the slot. You got to move with the times.
That's why some people at the time chose not to upgrade and kept using DDR1 instead. DDR3. DDR3 came out in 2007, and this RAM generation is what made computers more commonly used by normal people. This happens because the voltage of DDR3 got lowered to just 1.5 volts, which is great. So not only did PCs run even cooler, but laptop batteries could last longer as well. DDR3 also ran at higher speeds from 800 to 1600 megahertz and had a memory capacity from 4 gigabytes to 8 gigabytes per stick, which made it good for light photo editing, gaming, and heavier multitasking. But the most important thing about DDR3 was that it introduced dual-channel technology. With this feature, doing things feels more instant since 2 RAM sticks move data a lot faster instead of just 1. And not only that, this dual channel is also very useful for computers that use integrated graphics. Because unlike a dedicated graphics card that has its own memory called VRAM, an integrated GPU doesn't have its own memory. So in order to load images, render game graphics, and things like that, it will use your system's RAM instead. That's why having dual channel RAM will improve visual.
Oh, I was like, why does my computer have fucking like 30, I think it's like 32 gigs of RAM, and it sucks ass. Like I can't even record shit non-streaming and not lag. I still fucking lag. And it's like an i7, bro. It ain't some like boof shit. Like how the hell am I having problems here? It just gets too fucking hot, bro. Way too hot. And it's because the graphics thing is using the RAM, bro. And if it wasn't, I would just have RAM available, which would make it fucking work. And then I have to cool it as well. But wow, bro, I'm learning a lot from this fucking video, and I don't give a shit if nobody's into this.
Visual smoothness, and even give higher FPS when gaming with integrated graphics. But just a side note about dual channel RAM though, it's always better to use RAM sticks with the same speed and brand. And this doesn't only apply to DDR3, but also DDR4 and DDR5.
Because they do have 5. Yeah, that's what when you're buying RAM, bro, check the motherfucking megahertz speed. Like that's a huge, there's some that are 3000 and there's some that are 3200, but they're the same sticks of RAM technically, not the same brand. But watch that shit. You gotta be careful. Like that stuff, people just you don't figure out until you buy the wrong one, and you find out later. Like I did that shit.
Because if you mix RAM sticks with different speeds, it will still work, but everything will automatically run at the lowest speed. And even if you try to change the RAM speed manually in the BIOS menu, your system might become unstable or crash later. You can also mix RAM sticks from different brands that have the same speed, but sometimes it can cause random errors or instability because different brands may use different memory chips or electrical circuits. Anyway, the point is DDR3 with dual channel was already really good, but it wasn't perfect in that era because even with fast DDR3, computers in 2007 still felt heavy to run. And the reason wasn't the RAM itself, it was because computers used Windows Vista. So Windows Vista was infamous because it consumed a massive amount of resources like RAM and power. This happened because Vista used a new 3D transparent design called the Aero interface. It looked nice and modern, but it also made computers feel laggy.
Oh, I remember this shit. That's some nostalgia unlocked right there, bro. My sister had a fucking like a Fujisasune thing, and it was like Vista, and it was a brand new fucking thing, and everything looked animated and cool as shit, bro. At the cost of RAM, though.
And slow. And not just that, even popular games in that era such as Crysis.
Oh, I remember fucking Crysis, bro. I feel like I just turned my brain off from the past. Holy shit.
Were also insanely heavy as well. So in the end, DDR3's smooth performance that I explained in the beginning only showed up when Windows 7 came a few years later. DDR4. DDR4 came out in 2014, and it became the current standard for modern computers. It typically runs at speeds from around 2,400 megahertz to 3,600
DDR5? Mine's 3,200 megahertz. So how is that?
Megahertz, and supports much larger sizes from 8 to 16 gigabytes per stick. This made DDR4
Oh, I'm a dumbass. They're both DDR4. This is DDR4 too. Gotcha.
Supports much larger sizes from 8 to 16 gigabytes per stick. This made DDR4 great for video editing, programming, streaming, playing AAA games, and much more. And since DDR4 was that capable, it stayed around the longest based on its release time. It has become so common that people just keep using them. Also, unlike the previous DDR generations that had some sort of problem in their time, DDR4 can actually coexist well with the operating system and various programs of its era. And talking about programs, today there are RAM standards that
that G-Skill one's crazy. That looks like it does some shit.
We all must know to run those programs. 8 gigabytes of RAM is the minimum for doing everyday tasks like browsing the web and office work. But these days, 8 gigabytes of RAM is not recommended to have, especially since there are some programs like Google Chrome that consume a lot of...
Fuck Chrome, man. I have Chrome, and it burns the CPU stuff. Like, I think that's why my shit gets so hot, and I gotta be looking on YouTube for the video, so what the fuck?
RAM. So in practice, you can only open maybe like 2 or 3 software at max. That's why 16 gigabytes of RAM is the ideal amount for multitasking. But not just that, 16 gigabytes is also important if you're playing AAA games or doing video editing. And it's usually always
Bro, then what the fuck do you need DDR5 for? So that's just downright overkill.
Written in the system requirement, because these kinds of programs are indeed that heavy. As for 32 gigabytes, it's suitable for heavier work like programming or engineering. It's also great if you like playing AAA games while also streaming and chatting at the same time. But just in case you're wondering, does having more RAM always mean better performance?
Bro, no, that's what I'm saying. On my laptop has more RAM than what my computer is going to have. So it's slower. I already know for a fact when I set it up, it's going to be faster because it's not using an integrated graphics card, which is using up the RAM. So no matter how much RAM you have, if you're not using a dedicated graphics card, I feel like it's going to be a problem.
The answer is yes, but only up to a limit. For example, let's say we play a heavy game that requires us to have at least 12 gigabytes of RAM. If we play with just 8 gigabytes of RAM, it's technically possible, but the FPS we get will be lower. And if we play with 12 gigabytes of RAM, it's going to feel smooth since we've met the system requirement. But if we play with 16 gigabytes of RAM, it almost doesn't increase the FPS anymore because the system already has enough memory to work with. DDR5.
Oh, so you can't even go above that then. There would be no point if you weren't doing, 7 things at once, like engineering, like on a 3D model thing, as well as like YouTube or something, then it wouldn't make sense. Okay, I probably literally never knew that.
DDR5 came out in 2020 as the top-tier RAM for heavy-duty workloads. It runs at much higher speeds, starting around 4,800.
Oh, dude, 6,000? Oh my fuck, that would be sick. You could just open everything in the world.
Megahertz to 6,000 megahertz, with larger memory capacities at 8, 16, or
that thing looks like a fucking tank, bro, and it's just a RAM stick.
32 gigabytes per stick, which is useful for demanding tasks like 3D rendering, 4K video editing, and of course, high-end gaming. Every high-performance laptop and many gaming PCs use this RAM. The reason is simple, because the performance of DDR5 is just way better compared to DDR4, that if we play demanding games with the same setup, the amount of FPS we get is always better.
Yo, 137 on that bitch? Wow.
When using DDR5. Another thing that makes DDR5 special is because it has a feature called ECC, or Error Correcting Code, inside its chip. This feature can automatically find and correct small data mistakes in RAM, so in practice, it prevents random data errors during long or heavy workloads. However, with all these features and performance, DDR5 RAM is of course more expensive than any other RAM, and for normal everyday tasks, DDR4 is still more than enough anyway, especially when this video was made.
Yeah, dude, it would have cost me twice what I paid for the RAM, maybe a little bit more than that, just to get double the RAM. Like, I wouldn't even need it, unless, because I think streaming and watching a YouTube video is not the same as streaming and gaming on like a AAA title, So I just don't think I would ever need that.
We were in the era of RAM shortages due to AI data centers' high demand for memory, which is why RAM prices skyrocketed like crazy. Anyway, I also made some other cool videos too, so don't forget to watch them later, okay?
I want to fucking watch them. Why was that like the best video? Oh, so what are you doing? What are you starting over for? See what I mean? The shit's hot now. I've been recording for, I think it's been like 2 hours. What? Oh, I wanted to watch this video. This is a different video. Okay, I'm gonna go to this one next. But no, that was actually super fucking interesting. And it's funny because I feel like the ones where I'm like, I feel like this one kind of fits, because the ones where I'm like, oh, I don't even think that's like a good video or something. People love those ones. I don't fucking get it, man. Anytime I think it's like some good shit, like, oh, that's funny or whatever, bro, no, it doesn't go over well. It's weird. Super weird. Anyway, next video is going to be what happens when you grow a tomato from a McDonald's burger. Sick, right? Yeah, I had to fucking click on it. Anyway, next video.